Hi, everyone. Welcome to Beer Protocol.
No.
And that's where we're going to do it. Today,
Okay, hi.
we're talking about Wolverine.
I am excited to talk about our favorite angry Canadian.
I'm not.
Mostly because, oh, you have little enthusiasm in heroic
I,
characters
I
who aren't
don't.
just bad guys.
I don't like Wolverine. By the way, I'm James. I'm drinking rum and coke.
I'm Jacob. Today I have wine.
Oh, I should have popped up in the wine. Clink.
Uh, Clink, I am out of beer.
Yes, that is a problem. Um, yeah. So
Ooh,
we're
that's a nice red.
talking. What type of red is it?
I forgot.
It is
The
red.
bottle was
Okay.
already opened. It was red.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I in the comics, I don't like Wolverine. Even in the movies, I don't like Wolverine. Um, because I think to me, he's like a second-rate character. He doesn't have a lot of depth. And then it was just kind of like, oh, like no, he was a like part of Weapon X, and he was this and this, and it's just like, it's very contrite.
Have you considered that you're reading mostly second-rate depictions of Wolverine? Because I kind of stand to disagree with you a little bit. When he's written well, they play up the world-weary, sort of troubled background, but also someone who's genuinely trying to be better and advance past his past. And there's a lot of fairly compelling stories. Like that's where you get things like Logan, Old Man Logan. It was the comic it was based on, and a lot of like the better stories of him trying to reckon with his past. But at the same time, he almost has. Again, this is in specific stories, not necessarily his run-of-the-mill perspective. But Wolverine also has sort of a debonair style when he goes to Japan, where he has a lot of influences. He has an entire alias. He runs a bar with an eye patch. It's weird. It's dumb. But there's something about James Logan Howlett running a bar, just trying to be incognito and not break things, that amuses me immensely.
Yeah, but
But
wait,
there's also his role as a mentor character. Is Wolverine has actually mentored a whole swath of younger heroes.
wait.
I don't know. It's
I mean,
I think Wolverine is at
he's
his
not.
best when he's being played as an older, like more experienced character
Yes.
with a history that bothers him, and
Yeah.
not necessarily as a protagonist of his own story, which is kind of weird to say. I think Wolverine is a great character to enhance with the sort of the pathos as I get my wine, as I wax poetic of an existing story.
Uh,
He's also fun for team ups
he is by
because
himself.
he's such an established character.
I don't. But he's okay. Positive. He's not Cyclops. So, uh,
Yo, Cyclops has his own proof. I will talk. I will talk pros about all of the X Men. I know you don't like the X
I'm
Men
not. I
because
don't
they're
like
not
X Men.
Magneto.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. Okay. So,
James, summarize for me why you don't like the X Men without including how they're goody two shoes and they're not Magneto.
they have a shitty jet.
That's a terrible argument.
Don't.
That
They're
that
goody
that
two
jet was
shoes.
one.
They're
That jet was one of the coolest things in the '90s.
like I okay. Anyway, Marvel Crisis Protocol has brought out Wolverine. He is a 7 health, medium-sized character, size 2, and he is 4 threat, which means he's going to do something really, really well, and that's pretty much it. So guess what he's going to do really, really well?
In fact, he's going to be the best at what he does. So I actually bring a little cough cough game table experience.
Oh,
Josh and I, one of our fellow thralls, got on yesterday and played a couple rounds of Crisis Protocol. I took the X Men, the Uncanny X Men affiliation plus Shuri, against Josh's Defenders list.
okay.
And we had a pretty good game. I learned a little bit about the X Men, and I got a little bit of hands on time with Wolverine. So I want to walk back a little bit. James, you said Wolverine has 7 stamina / health?
Yeah.
Can we reference for a second? That's actually an awful gosh darn lot
Oh
for
no,
any 4 or 3 point character.
that is an awful lot, and considering that he has like a healing factor too, it is a lot of health. He is tanky.
Wolverine is a fat boy. I'll say up front, it is all muscle. But also, Wolverine's defenses 4 physical, good, good. That's about as good as it gets for physical.
Yeah.
3 energy, okay.
That's not bad.
2 mystic.
Because brain not good.
So what does this mean? It means when you're playing against defenders, Doctor Strange's leadership ability is picking your list to pieces with every attack.
Yep.
Against any other list, it's probably going to be fine. There's not as many mystics. It's not as bad as say Hulk's, or it's not Hulk's. Hulk's 2 for everything. It's not as bad as Venom's 2 energy defense or Beast's
Yep.
2 energy defense. Seriously, Beast has Venom's weakness and none of Venom's durability.
We'll get how
We'll get to Beast. He is the great deceiver. Be careful how you play with him. Wolverine is going to have a big glaring weak spot against mystic attacks, which are getting more common in the game. He's okay against energy, and he's good against physical. Wolverine's role is going to be lots of health, medium movement. He's not going to run down the battlefield at Mach speed, but he has other ways of mobility. Okay,
Yeah.
First attack. We're going to get value on pretty much all of Wolverine's attacks. Like every single one of these attacks does great stuff, which has been a hot second since we saw someone who wasn't a 6-point model give absolute value with every attack.
This is large text blocks for a 4-point model.
Adamantium Slash, 2 range.
Also known as SHINK.
Yeah, elsewhere on the internet, guest starring as SHINK. 2 range, 5 strength, 0 cost. So, solid, physical. Wolverine
Not
is
bad.
all physical, which can be a downside in certain matchups. I would just be aware of it. After this attack is resolved, gain power equal to the damage dealt. Cool. Then, on a wild, bleed. After it's resolved, target character gains the bleed condition, which will inflict 1 point of damage at the end of their activations. And then on a wild, pierce. Change one of the defending characters' successful block dice into a blank.
God,
so this is going to be a
so
mixed
good.
bag against certain characters like Cap and Black Panther all the time. It's going to be a mixed bag against anyone with martial artist, which is relatively common for certain matchups. So bleed pierce is not always going to necessarily come through for you, but in a general sense, this is a well-loaded basic attack.
Yeah.
Pierce and bleed is a great 2 set of rules. Bleed is not as common as it was in the core set. It was one of the original SAS conditions. There's still not a ton of people who interact with it in a specific way. A lot of times your opponent is probably going to decide it's not worth spending an action to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Or when it does become worth, like say they're actually going to be KO'd because of it, or they're going to go down, or they're not going to contest because they're at 1 shy of being dazed or knocked out, your opponent might burn an action to get rid of it. In which case, hey, your bleed just became stagger.
Yeah. So the one wild just giving you 2 things is an amazing thing on any attack. It's a kind of an iffy thing. Remember, you don't have to do pierce if you don't want to. It's not going to change anything for, like, say, Cap. But this is a pretty good solid attack, especially with something coming up later.
There is one big fringe cool thing about all pierce against Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange gets power when he rolls at least 1 shield in his defense results. You can use pierce to take that away from him.
Yeah.
I was actually so corner case, but it can happen.
I mean, I'm expecting to see in the future if there's ever like Colossus like having an effect that says on wilds or on his defense he gets blah. I'm expecting something like that happening, and then pierce is definitely going to become a great thing because it's like, oh, I don't want this to happen. Flip that die.
So yeah, let's move on to the next attack. Berserker Barrage. I am so glad they kept this name coming from Wolverine's Marvel vs. Fighting game series. I can immediately picture. Oh my god!
/ X. It's the Capcom versus
Where he spirals into a drill as.
No,
oh my
that's
god.
that's not the drill. It's this where he just goes / / and then he does the huge big X thing.
Oh yeah. No, who voices Spike Spiegel? Who is the person in the game that I lose constantly? I can't remember his name right now.
Oh.
It's happening in real time.
Yeah.
Steve Bloom. There it is.
Yep.
So Steve Bloom actually has been voicing Wolverine for years in video games. And I can immediately just picture him just grunting out Berserker Barrage as soon as I saw the text for this card. Like it was a visceral memory.
I'm actually impressed.
That
It's a melee attack that's range 3.
range 3, 7 dice on the attack. That is a hard hitting attack,
Yeah.
and costs 3. Yo, this is cheap. This attack is amazing and it is cheap. That blew me away playing with. Or like I can hit threes almost every turn after the first round,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Uh,
especially with Adamantium's flash giving you energy. Oh yeah.
yeah. Well,
So
even that in reverse, because it has the before damage is dealt, places character within one of the target. So yeah, if you're within 3 and not within 2, you can do this first, then go into an adamantium slash.
then, if this attack deals damage after the attack is resolved, if the target character is size 3 or less, this character may throw it short. This is very cool. A cost 3 attack. I mean, just think of it this way. How much power is it normally to just throw a character?
It's somewhere between 2 and 3.
Yeah. So for the same cost as just someone else's throw superpower, you also get to throw a 7 dice attack and teleport Wolverine up to
Yeah.
range 3 away and cheat all kinds of stuff. This attack is insanely good.
You can get further than that because remember, it's placed within one of the targets. So
Hmm.
if you're like within 3 of say Magneto and a large base, you can teleport behind him, technically getting like 4.5 inches.
Yeah. Do you want to take over a point? This attack will let you
This is
just
it.
take over a control point. You would target the person contesting, you teleport behind them, so you're now contesting, and then you yeet them off the point.
Yep. Yep.
Like this
Absolutely.
one attack by itself will transfer control of a secure crisis to you slash Wolverine. Um, it's
If
good. Like
if it's 3 or less, but that's pretty much everyone in this game.
it's not Hulk.
Yeah.
Which side note, I actually feel Wolverine destroys Hulk, but that's just me.
Yeah. So amazing attack. Great way of teleporting yourself around. Great way of throwing people off of points. That's exactly when I saw this. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna teleport behind the person, just yeet them off a control point. Um,
Yep.
Jake, let's get into his powers because the first one
There's not
is,
many. There's only one.
oh my god,
The best at what I do. As an action, you pay 3 power to immediately make a move action followed by an adamantium slash attack. So it's a charge. Why does it cost 3? When making this attack, every wild of the attack roll counts as 2 successes. This superpower can only be used once per turn. So it's a charge that amps up his already pretty good basic attack.
yeah.
Granted, this is dependent on the rolling wilds, which, as we all know, is a crapshoot.
But still, 5
Um,
dice, you're probably gonna get one. But even if you roll one wild, and say like you get like a hit, maybe 2
mhm.
hits on 5 dice, and you roll a wild, you've now gone to 4 hits, which is just insane. And if you roll really well, you can take pretty much one shot at anything, and you're getting power for it.
So, can I have a 1 minute rant off to the side? I no longer believe in claiming something is good because you could one shot something. I don't think
Oh,
one shotting a model is actually viable in this game. I don't
I
think you should ever count on it.
it's also not the best plan, but I did just realize something because Admantium Slash says for every damage dealt, you get a
Gain
power,
power.
which
Oh
means that
yeah, I
wild
was going
gets
to
you
mention that.
2.
Now the fact that this damage buffing is going into an attack that gets you power for damage dealt means Wolverine can very quickly he'll spend 3 to do this and he might make that much back. I mean that's 3 damage is still again, I'm now of the opinion that I'm only ever going to do 1 or 2 damage with every attack no matter how good it is because of how dice work in this game.
So you're looking at average and a little less.
Yeah. I do not count on averages because you if it was 2d6 like it is in War Machine, I would feel more comfortable with averages because this is roughly symbol based, especially going for a specific symbol like a wild, which only has like a 1 or a 2 in 8 chance of appearing. It's still real low. So you plan to throw many attacks over single big attacks in general, and I think Wolverine can do his many individual attacks are high quality, so Wolverine is very good at damage output.
So
Less so because he can do one big hit.
a medium move is roughly is it roughly 3 inches?
Roughly.
So yeah, plus his base, so he's getting a little bit more than 3 inches. I would say if you have the ability and you have 3 energy, I would do a Berserker Barrage, teleport, and then do an Adamantium Slash. I would not use this.
It really does depend on, yeah, the medium move stick and the range 3 stick are not truly equivalent. I think medium plus base move is going to get you further. But if they're in range for Berserker Barrage, you're probably better off with Berserker Barrage because the potential damage output is still higher
Mm-hmm.
than Adamantium Slash. You do potentially, by doing the best at what I do, making enough energy to also do Berserker Barrage.
Yep.
So that's probably like an ideal turn for Wolverine is best at what I do to Adamantium Slash, followed by Berserker Barrage to get out of dodge.
I would
Like,
almost I would almost say it's like a good launching point too. Like you go, I want to get to that guy over there, so I'm gonna go ahead and do best what I do, attack this person, do a berserker barrage to jump over.
or even better, you could best at what I do, Adamantium Slash one person,
Hmm.
Berserker Barrage someone nearby them, get the teleport to put you out of like immediate range 2 melee range against certain matchups, and then throw your new target at the old target to try to finish them off.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because then you're staying mobile. You get lots of movement in melee, which actually can be kind of hard to get by without spending move actions in this game. And Wolverine gets to dance around the battlefield like a tiny Canadian berserker. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
James, what's his next rule?
Oh, okay. So it's always on. Adamantium skeleton. We're determining if this character can be thrown or pushed by an effect or special rule, or when it's colliding with another character or terrain feature. This character counts as size 3.
So it could be a little fringe case, but this is pretty cool. There's a lot of throws in the game which are based on only up to size 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives Wolverine sort of immunity to a lot of characters' basic throws. It's
But
not blanket immunity to throws.
it's not. But what it is good against is uh, when it's colliding with another character or terrain feature, it counts as size 3. So this is a double-edged sword because I'm gonna pick up Wolverine if I have a size 3 throw and throw him something else, and instead of throwing, oh, he's size 2, take 3 damage. It's now take 4 damage.
There is a way to turn this to your advantage, though. So Wolverine, we usually don't mention tactics cards until the end once we've seen the whole character, but I absolutely will mention a tactic card here. Wolverine and Sabretooth, who come out in the same box, share a tactic card called Weapon X, where either Wolverine or Sabretooth can pay 3 and throw themselves, just like Black Panther's Pounce or a few other rules in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They throw themselves short. They're immune to any collision damage they would normally take from this. Now this could be a positioning tool to close the gap, like say because Adamantium Slash is a pretty short range attack, the shortest ranged attack in the game. Uses the shortest range stick. So you could use it to reposition. You could use it to finish off an opponent. You just don't have the actions to attack. Like say you move Adamantium Slash, generate enough energy, use Weapon X to hurl Wolverine, who is now size 3, therefore dealing potentially 4 damage at whatever you were trying to finish to cap off the hit.
Yep.
It's a pretty live tactic card for Wolverine and Sabretooth. I think Wolverine maybe a little more so because I think Sabretooth is only size 2 and doesn't have this rule to jimmy up that damage.
No, this is definitely for him. I mean, if you're going to and you're like I really kind of need to hit uh I need 2 damage on something. Do the tactic card, throw yourself, you're doing 4 damage as opposed to trying to roll and then beat their defense. So you're doing 4 damage and then they're rolling their defense straight out. It's a good little extra considering it doesn't say how far you have to throw before damage is dealt. So you can literally just be right against the person, throw yourself against them, and then do 4 damage.
Yep.
So
that is the case where you can turn the throw damage to your advantage. I highly recommend you look into trying it a few times, the Wolverine, see how you like it. It's a little expensive for the benefit it gives. 3 power to throw yourself. I think it's 2 power for Black Panther's Pounce. Plus, you can only do it once. But in the right situation, that's an extra up to 4 damage. Like in our game yesterday, I was able to daze Ghost Rider round 1
dang.
because I got the lucky damage off of this throw.
Yeah. If you are playing against Wolverine, just remember throw Wolverine into his friends.
If you have any preference and ability to throw size 3 characters, priority is to throw Wolverine. He's an excellent bowling pin. Finally, the last rule on this card: Wolverine has the first healing factor in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Potentially the most famous healing factor in Marvel Comics. It makes sense. He would come with a special rule. He has healing factor 2, which means at the end of Wolverine's activation, he heals 2.
Mm-hmm.
He also has immunity to stun, which means
That's
stun would only allow him to gain 1 power anytime he would gain power. Immunity to that means Wolverine can generate a lot of power.
yeah.
Between taking damage and just healing it so he can stay alive longer to take more damage and generate more power, to generating power with his adamantium slash, Wolverine actually potentially could be an excellent battery for using tactics cards, as well as his own abilities, which are relatively cheap.
If he has 6 power, you should be doing lots and lots of damage and bouncing around the field like crazy.
Yep. This is his healthy side. It's relatively small for a 4-threat character. James, what happens if someone actually does manage to bring down Wolverine?
So he flips over, and first off, his health goes down by 2. He's only at 5 health.
Slightly less scary.
Everything stays the same, mostly. So he still has the best way he does, adamantium skeleton, but he gains a power called Wild Rage. Wild Rage says, you add 1 die to this character's attack rolls for each damage token it has on it. Additionally, this character cannot interact or hold objective tokens. Do not put bleed on Wolverine.
James, there's one other addition to his injured side.
He shakes off stagger at this point as well as stun.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's very difficult to stop Wolverine. Like at this point, Wolverine, once he's flipped, almost becomes a priority target for your opponent.
Yeah.
Because if they ignore him for too long, or worse yet, they do scratch damage and fail to kill him, and he gets to activate. The scariest time on Earth is for Wolverine after he has activated on his injured side, because now your opponent has free reign to try to bring him down. I don't even know if I would touch Wolverine if he hasn't activated yet.
I wouldn't. I would. If you're going to, you need to make sure you either do 5 damage and make him get out of the game, or you do nothing and just throw him around a little bit, push him out of the way. Try not to deal with him until you can put 5 damage on him in 1 round. So let him activate first, and then do damage to him.
And I know we're saying let him activate first, but his damage output hasn't gone down at all from his healthy side. So he still will do good damage with no damage tokens on him. He's just going to do better damage the more damage tokens he gets.
The most terrifying thing I can think of on his damage side is accidentally putting 4 damage on him activating, and going, cool, I'm just going to do a Berserker Barrage now at, 11
That would
dice?
be 11 dice?
Do 11 dice with a possibility of sure, after that, I can do the best of what I do an adamantium slash. Cool, my turn's over. I use a med pack.
Can you use med pack on an injured character?
I mean, you're just putting health back on him. He's not going to flip back over, but you're just putting health back on him, and then he gets a healing factor too.
I'm trying to remember if med pack has a condition saying cannot be used on a character with a day's token. I think it does, which won't affect the injured side.
If he's at even without that, that's going to bring him back up to full. Even without that, he goes from 1 to 3 health just because he exists, and it's just making it even more difficult to get him out of the game.
So part of why I'm definitely more, because dice are such a factor in this game that these numbers for like his defenses look small. But in our game we had yesterday, Josh tried over like 3 different activations to take Wolverine down, especially after I Berserker Barraged and used his own Mystic Portal to teleport Wolverine behind his list. Completely cut off from my X-Men, but behind Josh, and Josh was able to double push him with Strange, but couldn't do more than 1 damage per attack.
Oh, see, that is terrifying.
That was on Wolverine's healthy side. Josh never actually managed to flip him.
Oh, see,
Wolverine has a lot of health actually on that.
Yeah,
it takes work.
I am not. I am okay, let me rephrase that. I am afraid of his healthy side. He does have a lot of health. He has a lot of ability to put out damage. He has a lot of mobility with his little special actions and stuff. Just for getting the medium movement. Um, what I'm terrified of is his damage side and the ability from him to go to from I'm at 1 health, I'm doing like 1 billion points of damage to you. I heal 2, I'm at 3. Um that's just insanely terrifying to me.
So we've pretty much covered all of Wolverine's rules. Like here, we would kind of talk about um, the tactics cards that come with Wolverine, and we've already mentioned Weapon X program.
Mm-hmm.
He has one other card that I don't have the text for called 1-2 Punch. So let me see if we'll try to look that up in the meantime, just because we do not have that handy. But Wolverine, I think, is a really solid melee, just beat stick, for lack of a better word. He can take hits relatively well because he has a large health pool. Like even after he flips, he goes to an average sized health pool.
Yeah.
Um, I think Wolverine would be a very comfortable 3-threat character if not for his Wild Rage rule on his injured side. I think that rule and the potential damage output by itself is what takes him to a 4-threat character.
He has the ability to
But
go in the Avengers now too, doesn't he?
he may with the new rules to listings.
That becomes even more terrifying because now you can do the best at what I do for 2 power.
Yep, and it becomes the same cause. Well, I mean, you could do that with Avengers affiliation anyways by just bringing Wolverine. It's just now he'll actually count for certain cards like Avengers Assemble or I don't know if Wolverine is on Avengers. I know Beast is. Beast was added to the Avengers.
Still, this is just I am going to have to figure out what like I don't think Sabretooth is a good comparison for Wolverine in the Brotherhood. Um, I think he's comparable, but he's not. He's not like it's not Wolverine. I'm almost considering just
Much like
taking.
Sabretooth's character.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just taking Sabretooth out of it and putting Wolverine in his place.
So Wolverine's actually kind of interesting to me. Like Wolverine on like the surface, like if we had done this without me having played with him a little bit, um, Wolverine is not that super impressive. He's got a fairly streamlined tactics. He's got a fairly streamlined card. There's not a ton of rules for him. But what he adds up to on the table is I think because he's relatively simple and straightforward, it really is kind of easy to underestimate how much durability he has with that 7 health and average to good defenses. Mystic is a big exception. Wolverine will get dunked on by heavy Mystic attackers,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like only MODOK and Doctor Strange have cost 0 Mystic attacks.
Yes, and there's a few others that can get it, or that we've
Right.
seen.
So,
And then
but
anyone
if
in
someone's winding
Defenders.
up for anyone in Defenders, but if someone's winding up for a huge Mystic attack, odds are you're probably going to know about it. So, like, they're going to be stockpiling power. So you could either target prioritize them so they can't pull off that Mystic attack before they daze or KO, or you could just kind of keep Wolverine away from them. Like, I actually like the flexibility of Berserker Barrage, of its teleport for getting Wolverine out of the middle of a giant fight. You can use the best at what I do to fall back. Like, say someone is aggressing your backline or going after your ranged characters, use best at what I do to advance back to your backline, taking Wolverine out of the firing pit, and then do a quick slash at them.
Yep.
Especially with Wolverine's healing factor, I think there actually is value to sort of letting Wolverine cool off from the fight for a little bit, let him activate, heal a bit more. I actually really liked having Wolverine far behind enemy lines because it really became the question of, for my opponent, you need to go take down Wolverine, or he's going to heal and keep clawing at you. But you're also going to have to walk away from basically all of the objectives at this point to go chase Wolverine.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Like run away. If you're playing Wolverine and you're low in health, run away for 1 round. If you're on the healthy side, you're healing for a little less than a third of your health at the end of your activation.
Yep.
Um,
It also makes like a fun case for order of activation at the top of the round. Like if you have the priority token,
yep.
activate Wolverine. He's going to heal and be even more of a pain in your opponent's butt.
Yeah.
Um,
So I have a feeling Wolverine's either going to be the first person you activate or the last person you activate.
It's going to kind of depend on the situation. I will mention a tactics card that doesn't come out with Wolverine's box, but does exist for the Uncanny X-Men called Children of the Atom. Children of the Atom costs nothing to play. It can be played by any. That's actually a theme for the Uncanny X-Men tactics cards. Only one of them costs power. The other ones give you power, either give you power or give you power efficiency. It's actually a nice change of pace of a bunch of cards which cost a ton of power. But Children of the Atom says an Uncanny X-Men can play this. They heal every status condition they have and gain 1 power for each.
Wow.
Wolverine is terrifying if you have that card open, because your opponent will be trying to throw disables he's not immune to, and then you just reverse them all with that card, and then Wolverine gets a pile of power to do an unexpected Berserker Barrage or charge.
Yeah, I don't like having the Uno reverse.
Uno reverse is a powerful tactic, my friend.
So that's Wolverine.
Yeah, straightforward, pretty simple. Try him in a couple of games. See if the Angry Canuck can knock down your opponents.
Yep. So, yeah, we have. Oh man, we've got more X-Men to go through. We have more mutants to go through. I think next week we might actually. Well, next week is Thanksgiving, so
we'll
we
figure out
probably
what our
skip
Thanksgiving
next.
schedule is.
We'll figure out something.
But I could see us bouncing between Brotherhood and X-Men for the next bit as we try to cover the models that came out for both. And we have already seen new announcements. James, I believe you were excited about a particular red-suited mercenary.
Oh, I don't know. Hydra Bob
And Deadpool.
and Dimple. Yeah.
It's weird. Like, I understand this is very exciting, but I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. The people I expected to eventually come out are coming out. Neat.
I did not expect Hydra Bob. Come on.
Hydra
No
Bob
one
is
expected Hydra Bob.
But I'm also happy to see that Cable, Domino for like X-Men also got
Sinister.
announced. Sinister. I'm happy to see that this first wave of X-Men was in fact just the first wave.
Yes.
And they are continuing, and they're not immediately moving on to another affiliation. It wasn't cool. We're going to do an initial run of X-Men, and then we're going to do like an Iron Man enemies affiliation.
Right.
No, they're staying consistent. They're releasing more X-Men content. So that's going to give these affiliations more support. It's good as well with the affiliation updates to see other places for these X-Men and Brotherhood models. In Cabal and Avengers, Storm got added to Wakanda, which is really exciting. Which makes a lot of sense.
Magneto is in Cabal.
Magneto is now by far the biggest threat thing Cabal can bring. So, James, question. Is Magneto a good bodyguard target for Red Skull?
God, no. Why would you do that?
Let me redirect an attack from my leader to my more valuable model.
No, Magneto's just like, no, you take it. You take it, Baldy.
Magneto's like, I'm waiting for you to fall over so I can just control.
No, but I was thinking, I was like sitting there and I was like, oh, Magneto's, I mean, that's amazing because Magneto's just oh my God, he gives power by destroying terrain to Red Skull to do all of Red Skull's stuff.
He does not.
Oh,
That's
crap,
a leadership
he doesn't.
ability.
It's a leadership ability.
That was my immediate thought about taking Magneto outside of Brotherhood.
Oh, screw that.
Magneto's still real good, but his leadership ability is good enough where I'm just like, I'm genuinely wondering if Magneto is going to have power problems. Cabal's leadership ability kind of makes up for it, but it means he's going to have to aggressively attack things.
Nope, I'm going to put Red Skull in Brotherhood Mutants.
I'll cheers to that.
that's the solution. Screw that. That works better. In other news, we are now part of the Across the Bifrost network.
I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah. Very, very excited.
What kind of content do they have, James?
They have pretty much all the YouTubers, all the podcasts, all the bloggers, especially our favorite, Inspiring Monologue. It's basically one-stop location. Link is below for all your Marvel Crisis Protocol content.
All right, very exciting.
So, thank you for watching. I knew it's been a short episode, but it is it's almost Thanksgiving, so
it's a short Canadian.
well, sorry, for Americans, it's almost Thanksgiving. For everyone else, it's almost next Thursday.
I was talking about Wolverine. I wasn't trying to like international pun on you. Because Wolverine's short.
Oh yeah, Wolverine's short.
It's canonical.
They should totally make him size 1. Okay, so
He's not Rocket short.
all right. Thanks for watching, and we'll see
Also,
you.
who do you think is angrier, Wolverine or Rocket?
Oh no, Puck is definitely more angry. Puck was an original X-Men. He was the really short dwarf that used to roll.
I know who Puck is, nerd. I didn't ask about him though.
Yeah.
All right.
And with that, have a good night.
Go play some games. Game off.
Game off.